Hello TEDx. We meet again. Snow Isle Libraries. Will this be about books or keeping quiet? I'm going to bet neither. So let us begin.
$66 million years ago.
Aha! A history lesson. Or a prehistory lesson. Lay it on me.
According to Harvard cosmologist Lisa Randall, a tiny twitch caused by an invisible force in the far reaches of the cosmos hurled a comet 3 times the width of Manhattan toward Earth, at least 700 times the speed of a car on a freeway.
And that twitch was Cthulhu sneezing, by the way.
That collision produced the most powerful and awesome earthquake of all time and released energy 1 billion times that of an atomic bomb, and heating the atmosphere into an incandescent furnace that killed 3/4 of all living creatures.
And such a cataclysm would not be surpassed until November 9th, 2016, with the election of Donald Trump. At least, that's what many left-wing nuts would have us believe.
The dinosaurs who walked the earth much longer than we have perished, with their unfortunate demise, made possible the subsequent rise of mammalian dominance, which allowed you and me and all of us humans to evolve to ponder the perplexities of the cosmos.
Oh boy, I'm getting a decidedly Carl Sagan vibe from this lady's introduction. I wonder what cool scientific discovery we'll be learning about now.
One of these perplexities was the evolution of women as a so-called substandard sentient being, a virtually misunderstood, invisible, and mysterious entity coexisting with mankind, well, humankind, as we exclusively state nowadays.
Women are so-called substandard. So-called by whom? You? And you do understand that the term mankind is all-inclusive, correct? That man, as a word, once referred to the aggregate of all human beings? I suppose you also have an aversion to menopause and menstruation, since those as well begin with men.
Or presumably so, according to the troglodytes, the terrestrial-dwelling denizens, and the testosterone-driven androgenic species we now denote to be Homo sapiens.
I'm going to go out on a testosterone-laced limb and guess you're a misandrist. Let's see if I guessed correctly as we continue.
Dark matter and women for most of the vast millennia have been out there evolving, contributing, creating, and yet both are perceived as, well, just not essentially there.
Dark matter and women. Is this the basis of your talk? Okay, so let's try to approach this rationally. I know it's going to be a matter of ice skating uphill in your case, but let's just see what we can do. If dark matter was thought of as not essentially there, then why is there a thing in cosmology called dark matter? Why has it been theorized on and studied since 1922, when it was first suggested by Dutch astronomer Jacobus Kapteyn? You are patently incorrect in saying that it has been perceived as not essentially there. As for women as a gender sharing its lot with your proposal of dark matter's perception, you had a mother. I had a mother. Somehow, I think we all had mothers. So you're wrong there as well. But maybe this is all a setup for something. Maybe there's a funny punchline coming that doesn't make all of this sound as loopy as it seems. Let's find out.
Dark matter can't be seen, detected, or measured, so how do we know it really exists?
Observational evidence of dark matter. Much of the evidence comes from the motion of galaxies. Many of these appear to be fairly uniform, so by the virial theorem, the total kinetic energy should be half the galaxy's total gravitational binding energy. Observationally, the total kinetic energy is much greater. In particular, assuming the gravitational mass is due to only visible matter, Stars far from the center of galaxies have much higher velocities than predicted by the virial theorem. Galactic rotation curves, which illustrate the velocity of rotation versus the distance from the galactic center, show the excess velocity. Dark matter is the most straightforward way of accounting for this discrepancy. And all of that isn't including the galaxy rotation curves, velocity dispersions of galaxies, galaxy clusters and gravitational lensing, cosmic microwave background, sky surveys and baryon acoustic oscillations, redshift space distortions, and on and on. There is plenty of evidence of dark matter. What are you talking about?
And women are oftentimes unseen, undetected, unmeasurable, even unmanageable in the workforce, in the world. So how do we know they exist?
I had a mother. You had a mother. Everyone had a mother. I'm going to say this a lot during this one, aren't I? What the hell are you talking about?
Since time immemorial, men have served as cartographers, mapping the earth, the great oceans, and the vast universe. But dark matter and women continue to elude.
You're not on a stage speaking right now. I cannot hear the words you are saying. You're not really a 5 years tenured senior systems engineer at Boeing. None of these things are true or have happened. It's all a fiction.
Like dark matter, women have existed, but in a cloak of invisibility. We hope to reveal here today the enigma of 4 billion years of creation and 500 million years of higher evolution. Where do we begin?
That's a very good question. Where do we begin in trying to make sense of all you have just proposed or stated as unassailable fact? I am dying to know, because I have absolutely no idea where you are going with all of this. And that's what entertains me the most.
How about the 20th century?
What do you think? Listening with your eyes closed, or fighting back a headache that our speaker has started? You be the judge.
When the cosmos ushered in a new era for astronomy, and for one woman's role in it. In 1965, astronomer Vera Rubin became the first woman allowed to observe at the Palomar Observatory in San Diego, California.
It checks out. This is true so far as I can tell. She was the first woman allowed. Not the first woman who ever used the telescope, but the first one officially permitted. So, score one for our speaker.
It was home to the most powerful telescopes in the world at that time. It was here she began her pioneering work on galaxy rotation, which led her to calculate the existence of dark matter, one of the most significant milestones in our understanding of the universe.
She did that all on her own, did she? Well, let's see. In the early 1970s, Vera Rubin teamed up with astronomer Kent Ford. Kent Ford? A man? And others to study the rotation of spiral galaxies. To their surprise, they found that the predicted angular motion didn't match what they were seeing. Rubin and her collaborators hypothesized that some invisible glue, an unseen mass, must be at work. The group's groundbreaking work provided the first direct evidence of the existence of invisible dark matter. Wow, she worked with a team, and they came up with an enhancement of what Jacobus Kapteyn and others had been talking about since the 1920s. But I thought you said that dark matter is perceived as not essentially there. Kent Ford and Vera Rubin and their team measured it as being there. So maybe women can be seen and measured as well? It's just a theory.
While dark matter captured the world's imagination overnight, it remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time. And there's good reason for that. Research has proven we often fail to see things that we are not expected to see. For example, our very bodies host vast colonies of bacteria. 10 times more bacteria cells than human cells reside inside us and help us to survive. Yet we are barely aware of these microscopic creatures. Only when bacteria misbehave and make us sick do most of us even acknowledge their existence.
I am having a vision that only when women misbehave and make us sick, only then do we acknowledge them. Am I close?
Only when dark matter and women reveal themselves to our perception of reality do we know they exist.
Oh boy, what do I win?
So, like the bacteria within us, dark matter is one of those other universes right under our noses, unseen, undetected, and unnoticed. And like those microscopic creatures who inhabit us, dark matter too not only passes through us, but is all around us. It is literally everywhere. Let's take a closer look at what you cannot see.
Let's take a closer look at what you cannot see. Except that dark matter can be measured to exist, bacteria is well understood and can be seen under a microscope, and, wait for it, women can also be seen and detected. And did I mention that we all have mothers?
Hold up your hand.
It's the Nazis!
Now put it back down. Did you notice anything?
Yeah, the Nazis.
Even more important, did you feel anything?
The power of the fatherland!
In that brief window of time, your hand interacted with dark matter, the elusive, mysterious stuff that comprises the vast majority of the universe. Best guess is that 1 million particles of dark matter passed through your hand just now. Imagine that.
Wow. Imagine that. What effective audience participation. I'm sure they learned a lot.
Dark matter is unlike anything we've ever seen. Billions of these strange particles pass through everything they encounter every second. According to one theory, they are so massive, they are 800 billion times the mass of the sun, and they have that power to make up the entire galaxy. Maybe the next time you gain weight, blame it on dark matter.
The next time that you think you're being funny, you should blame that delusion on dark matter.
We humans have no sense of existence, in part because we don't cleave to the forces that regulate our movement in the world, like the forces of gravity and electromagnetism, for example, which we can, in some way, at least feel or witness. In other words, if we can't see it and we can't feel it, it's just not there, right? Wrong.
We have no sense of existence because we do not cleave to the forces of gravity and electromagnetism. Would you care to read some Socrates or Plato? They had a thing or two to say about existence, and long before gravity or electromagnetism had even been surmised by science. And I am really curious, who is this lecture for?
Scientists insist dark matter exists. In fact, the evidence is everywhere. It's overwhelming. They surmise in one study that it accounts for a staggering 88% of the Milky Way galaxy. Billions of dark matter particles are passing through each of you at this very second. What they don't know is what it is made of, but they do know that it is invisible, mysterious, and it's out there.
Yes, I think between this and the other half dozen times you've described the mystery of dark matter, that we get the point. But then the question becomes, when will you reach yours?
What's even stranger and more perplexing is that people's attitudes toward dark matter is bedeviled by the same exact instincts that influence their responses to different classes, castes, cultures, races, and yes, even genders, who they might not truly see, but who are nonetheless essential to society. And we even have a name for this: gender fatigue.
Gender fatigue. How do you measure gender fatigue? What does it weigh? Can you see it? Can you touch it? Or was it just a catchphrase popularized, and I use the term loosely as I had never heard of it before, by Elizabeth Kellen, a professor of gender studies, in 2009? She theorizes that even though a company or place of business may appear gender neutral or operating purely on merit, that discrimination is still there. It's just become so subtle that you cannot notice it. So again, if you're comparing dark matter to gender fatigue, I look forward to the reams of peer-reviewed research showing the likely existence of gender fatigue as demonstrated through empirical evidence and repetitious experimentation. Take your time. I'll wait.
In fact, dark matter can be compared to the underappreciated and undervalued rank and file. Even when invisible to the male decision makers in a predominantly patriarchal society,
it is a wonder that the patriarchy allowed you to speak on a TEDx stage, disparaging it so effectively.
The many billions of women over the course of history who built the pyramids, fought in wars, including the Civil War.
Oh yeah, never mind the thousands upon millions of men who have died building the pyramids and fighting in all of the wars, but you perceive them as essentially not there. Am I right?
Contributed to the Manhattan Project, designed and built computers, missiles, and discovered nuclear fission were all crucial to the development of their civilizations.
And men had absolutely nothing to do with these things. No major role at all. You cannot celebrate the coming together of disparate people to advance the betterment of civilization. No, you must be divisive and lie and say Vera Rubin did everything by herself, ignoring Kent Ford and all the others who worked on dark matter. Dark matter may be invisible, but I am seeing our speaker much, much clearer with every syllable that drops.
This is a slide of Mary Sherman Morgan, also known as Rocket Girl. One out of 900 men, Mary created the secret formula for the fuel that powered Wernher von Braun's rocket in the race for space.
Mary Sherman Morgan was the subject of a semi-biographical stage play written by her son, George Morgan. George Morgan admitted that he knew surprisingly little about his mother's life and work when she died, as she worked in an industry connected to defense and national security and was limited in what she could discuss. Her penchant for keeping secrets was such that George Morgan did not even know she was ill with emphysema until the last few months of her life, nor was he aware of his half-sister until 2007. So, was Mary Morgan ignored? Or was she a loyal American keeping the secrets she promised to keep? And once uncovered, was a play not made about her? Were books not written about her? You had no idea who she was or what she did until the rest of us did. Get off your high horse.
Or her, Jerry Cobbs, the #1 world record-breaking pilot trained astronaut who was denied her ride into space. It was 20 years before Sally could take her ride.
Geraldine Jerry M. Cobb, not Cobbs, was also a part of the Mercury 13, a group of women selected to undergo physiological screening tests at the same time as the original Mercury 7 astronauts, as part of a private, non-NASA program. Although she successfully completed all 3 stages of physical and psychological evaluation that were used in choosing the first 7 Mercury astronauts, this was not an official NASA program, and she was unable to rally support in Congress for adding women to the astronaut program based solely on their gender. At the time, NASA requirements for entry into the astronaut program were that a pilot be a military test pilot, experienced at high-speed military test flying, and have an engineering background enabling the pilot to take over controls in the event that it became necessary. An exception was not made for Cobb. Now, was sexism more rampant back then than it is today? Sure. But you find me a non-military, non-test pilot, non-engineering man who became an astronaut in NASA in that era, and I'll concede the point.
Or like Liza Meitner, mother of the atomic bomb and discoverer of fission, all but forgotten.
You're correct. Meitner did indeed discover nuclear fission of uranium when it absorbed an extra neutron. She led the team who discovered that, alongside Otto Hahn, credited as the father of nuclear chemistry. Were you going to mention Otto Hahn? Or did you just, I don't know, forget?
Or her, Rosalind Franklin, credited for the discovery of the DNA helical structure, but never awarded the Nobel Prize.
If you read up on the chain of events involving Franklin's contribution to the DNA research, you'll find that it's far, far more complicated than her somehow just being ignored in the process. Watson, of Watson and Crick, actually approached her at one point to try and figure out flaws in the DNA theories of the time, and Franklin sent him away, angry that he would question her own conclusions. As far as not receiving a Nobel Prize, it might have something to do with Franklin's reluctance to publish her findings, thus creating quite the obstacle in extending any credit or citation to her work. But like I say, it is a very long story. Now, did she get screwed over in not being mentioned more prominently? Probably. Was it sexism that caused it? That's a far, far murkier question.
Or Vera Rubin, herself, who is reluctantly credited, but unconfirmed for her theory of dark matter. That Rubin has yet to receive a Nobel Prize is a testament to the systemic flaws in how these accolades are awarded.
How about Kent Ford? Should he receive a Nobel Prize? Or are his contributions essentially not there?
Or them. Here's all female employees in mass legitimately entering the workforce in the 50s for the first time in the country's history.
Females only entered the workforce for the first time in the 1950s? Was Liza Meitner part of that workforce? I mean, hers and Hahn's study on fission was published in 1939. And what about all those women that went to work during World War II? They weren't part of the workforce?
And here is Boudica, queen of the Celtic Iceni.
Okay.
She defeated the Romans. She wiped out their capital in England. And yet, another damsel of dark matter, who for very similar reasons, as these former women, will go down in history for daring to become visible and be a force to be reckoned with by changing history for all time.
Yes, so invisible and unmentionable. There's a statue to her memory. And I'm sure she accomplished all of those things single-handedly. I am sure that no men died in the process of achieving those things that you just credited her with.
But this is, according to one female voice, not the death of sexism, but a new birth of a nation in which women's inferiority and visibility isn't a given. The fact that for the first time in our world history, a female presidential candidate lost does not make women wrong and won't make us disappear, even if they don't believe in us.
You're right. It makes them just as accountable for their political and professional records as men are. And given the popular vote versus the electoral vote, it wasn't for lack of individual support, but democratic balance that she lost. So what's your point?
As we gather here today, 13 billion years and counting, we are still hoping to see dark matter just as we're hoping to see these women and others like them rise out of the dark passages of time immortal.
Yes, no plays have been made, no books written, or statues sculpted for any of these women. They are less forgotten than most of their male counterparts, who you in turn fail to mention. So, tell me again, who are the most forgotten heroes of science?
It's worth remembering that nature has often been found to favor ideas that initially seemed wildly improbable. The great Danish quantum theorist Niels Bohr knew this. Bohr said to Wolfgang Pauli after his presentation of Heisenberg's and Pauli's nonlinear field theory of elementary particles at Columbia University in 1958, We are all agreed that your theory is crazy.
This picture about sums up the reality of this talk. A woman bored into slumber.
The question that divides us is whether it is crazy enough to have a chance of being correct. The pairing of women and dark matter could also be viewed as a little crazy, or a collusion so thrilling, so mind-bending, so jubilantly out of this world, it has the potential to reset the default of civilization's impact on this planet.
Oh, I'm certain that your comparison of women to dark matter is truly revolutionary. I don't think you've broken 3 bones attempting to pat yourself on the back at all for this one. You go, girl.
And why compare the two entities, women and dark matter, you may ask? And I ask back at you, why not?
Because neither has anything to do with the other. Dark matter was here before there were women, and it will be here after there are women. Dark matter has no tangible effect on how we live our lives. We all, however, have mothers.
Look what women and dark matter have in common. For starters, they're both studied intensively. Yet they remain quixotic, complicated, intensively defiant, misunderstood, enticing, overwhelming, unreadable, disagreeable, immeasurable, and last but far from least, a force to be reckoned with.
None of those things can be applied to men, huh? You know, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you have a bias against men. So how seriously should I take you for having such an obvious and unscientific perspective as that?
There's something else rather wonderful that women and dark matter have in common. Dark matter, or missing matter, it was once called, is the matter de facto in our universe, holding our entire universe together. Dark matter web is the invisible scaffolding that underpins the entire visible universe. Dark matter and women are propping up our universe. They're holding us all together. Women seem to be the backbone of our nation. They keep our families intact. Yes, single and married moms are gaining momentum as almost half are primarily earners for heads of households.
So women are gaining towards equal footing with men. Well, good for them. But now tell me how hard their fathers and their fathers' fathers worked and struggled and died to ensure that such a thing might happen for them.
I am proposing a new way of seeing and thinking for unique ideas and solutions and out-of-the-box thinking, and bringing us all along on the same wavelength, from electromagnetism, electromagnetic radiation, to radio, gamma, and gravitational waves. Like the Lord Shiva, we seem to have multiple arms and legs and heads and brains and to do all kinds of tasks, plus don't forget our longer lifespan.
And why is it, do you think, that women possess a longer lifespan, on average, than men do? If it's a natural inclination, then women cannot take any credit for it. And if it's due to the untold numbers of men who work themselves and stress themselves into an early grave, or who die in war and other dangerous jobs, all to ensure that their wives and loved ones are safe from the same hardships they have to face, then women's extended lifespans are owed to men. So, which is it?
Just like there have been extinctions of the dinosaurs, the passenger pigeon, or even the most recent, the western black rhino, so too will be a mass extinction of women being thought of as second-class citizens.
Yes. Tell me more about being a second-class citizen, senior systems engineer at Boeing. Tell me how women are so ill thought of that they have been disallowed from seeking the highest office in the country. Tell me all about the hardships you face today as you lean on the struggles of women of the past who overcame obstacles you could not possibly imagine to do what they did when they did it.
Women are aggregating in greater numbers than ever. They're following their dreams and desires as never before. They're forming a critical mass to create an amazing transformation, unlike any this planet has ever known. Get ready for another great impact here, and we're not talking about a comet.
So, are you arguing against your own complaint now? because I'm not sure the patriarchy would allow women such freedom to follow their dreams.
Like that comet that transformed and upset our world forever, so too will women create change like you have never seen or can't imagine, just like you have never seen dark matter. Women and dark matter are changing the world for all of us, just like that comet which crashed into our planet long ago. I predict women will leave a great impact on our world and will communicate in ways never before thought probable or possible. Get ready.
We all have mothers.
Ursula Le Guin, the winner of the Hugo, the Orion, and the Nebula Awards, calls it the mother tongue, spoken or written. It expects an answer. It is conversation, a word the root of which means turning together. The mother tongue is language, not as mere communication, but as relationship. It connects. It goes two ways, many ways, an exchange, a network. Its power is not in dividing, but in binding, not in distancing, but in uniting.
Then why are you disregarding and trivializing men? If you extol unification, but equate women as being of the same importance to reality as dark matter, what have you done with the men in that equation?
I want all of you now to use your prefrontal cortex. This is your most highly evolved brain matter. And remember, size does not matter, unless you're a comet, of course. Matter matters, which may be the final mystery unraveled and a big relief for many. And wipe away all those stereotypical confirmations, all the cognitive biasing, all those preconceived negative notions like throw like a girl, think like a man, love like a lesbian.
The notion that people think women are substandard. The notion that they're treated like second-class citizens. The idea that your tirade is of any value to society, let alone science. Those kind of biases.
And become the most utilized brain we were all meant to be, and then come together to solve all the world's problems. We are going to need all the brain matter we can muster to colonize Mars, feed and house all the people in the world, 9 billion by 2050, cure Zika, chikungunya, malaria, AIDS, and all kinds of diseases. We need to create a sustainable planet and stop all these ugly wars, these senseless killings, and yes, uncover all that dark, mysterious matter with our very precious white and gray matter. But we won't get there unless you turn to your partner, your significant other, your apostle Q, your lover, your other, even your homunculus, if you are a loner, and say, yes, you and all that beautiful alabaster white matter to me. Thank you.
Unless you're a man, because then you don't matter quite as much as Betty Smith thinks you do. As always, thank you for watching.